Teviot. Okay, I'd like to welcome you all to the Teviot Valley Community Board meeting for the 24th of November 2022. Our second or our first business meeting, and I'm very appreciative of the attendance we had this afternoon from staff and management of CABC. I have no apologies to report. Anyone got any? Everyone's independent. A public forum, we had no speakers today. And I would just call for confirmation of the minutes of the previous meeting held on the 2nd of November 2022.
Yep.
Thanks, Sally.
No second.
No, thank you.
Oh, I did find one thing in the minutes actually. It said that I appointed Mark as the deputy and Jill seconded, but it was actually the other way around. The appointing the deputy chair. Jill actually nominated Mark.
Any further matters arising from those minutes? Right, I'd ask if there's any declarations of interest, any items on the agenda. None. Who reported? Right, so we have some reports to consider. The first of which is the Grovers Hill Recreational Reserve replanting. Sorry?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was second.
No. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. I need to ask Gordon to speak for us.
Thanks. So this report is to consider replanting options for Grovers Hill. As you know, in 2021 there was a severe windstorm that affected the blew down a lot of trees, and we had to salvage what we could, and then necessitated us down the rest, and we've just only the last couple of weeks since that's on, which is probably council was guaranteed from the forestry $1,000, so we've got some in the bank already, and the rest is now coming once now they've finished their $7,000 job, so that'll arrive in the council's account shortly. So just a bit of a summary. So the block was planted in the mid-80s under a forestry encouragement scheme, and it was then registered by council some years later under the New Zealand Emissions Trading Scheme. So that essentially means that the pre-1990 forest, and we need to replant that, otherwise we are, the council, the board is liable for pay the credit for its work. And I've outlined those in the finance, and I think that's from memory $600,000 worth. Yeah, so that's the liability we're likely to be against, up against if we don't replant that within the 4-year period. So it'll be 1 year and a bit gone. If you've been to the site lately, you'll see it's so there's a little bit of work to do on that, so that part of the contract is to windrow the slash that's on the site and clean it up a little bit before replanting happens. So that will happen. So there are several options for replanting that we can use that will comply with the emissions trading scheme. And one is the invasive forestry crop. The other is in a native forestry crop such as focus that 31 covered crop, and the other is in a mixed native planting which needs to achieve 5 metres in height and 30% coverage, I think, within a reasonable time. The reasonable time is not defined in the Act, so that gets assessed by MD when they do the assessment. But the site, advice from our forestry contractor and others is that the site's got very little soil on it, so it won't grow natives very well at all. So you see in the report, I'm recommending that we plant hybrid pine, things like that, which is a not to say non-spreading, but a pine that doesn't tend to open its cones in this environment, so the seeds don't tend to fall out. And if they do, they have, I guess, what we call a reformed sort of wing, so it doesn't fly as well as the apple. Closer to the trees. Is one of the scientific explanation on that one. And they will work on this site. They're wind tolerant, cold tolerant, and more snow tolerant than radiata itself. And you're expecting a harvest in around 2 years. Whereas the native crop harvest would be 80 plus years, and the mixed native you wouldn't reharvest, so that you would do some income, potential income, rather than the opportunity, I guess, native bush after a while. And then you could bush. But that would take a long time and a lot of cost involved in weed control on the site. That's just been done with weeds already. I might have underestimated that and the costing here, but there's a significant cost for weed control for natives because they're such growing. And the site, as I said earlier, is not conducive for growing natives that are required to meet your requirements under EPS. They probably grow things like Category and the scrub quite well, but that doesn't meet the requirements under EPS. And so out of the 115,000 we get, an estimated we will have a bit of a balance left of around $44,000, which could be utilised for other investments into other recreational spaces, because this is a reserve that needs to be used in recreational spaces again within the ward. It doesn't have to be on that site, but it's within the ward itself. I think other than that, I was just going to highlight, happy to answer any questions.
So with the, you said we got credits of 650,000 we'd have to pay back if we didn't replant. Does that mean to say we've got credits of 650,000 sitting somewhere?
It's not in cash. No, so you don't. I'll explain that for you.
So is it on the balance sheet somewhere?
Yeah.
So that's on the balance sheet in the ward?
It's ward based, that's right.
So where are they reflected on our balance?
Well, they're not anything.
I'm not sure they're on the balance sheet, they are credits.
The
It's
government holds it.
not as good as it looks, because if you cut the trees down and move them and you pay for it, that's what it means.
Yes, you have to
You pay for it, so it's almost like a potential liability.
The value
So
of
it's not actually on the balance sheet
Yeah.
at the moment. Probably people will need to bring them in if it's for the next annual report. But it's based on the trade valuation.
So they'll go onto the ward balance sheet at the end of this financial year. And this is because they're pre-1990, so instead of accruing credits in the future, it's the fixed credit that's given at the beginning.
Fixed payment at the beginning. Yeah.
Okay. Understand.
And
But you need to the valuation of the in on that.
Yeah, that's what it is.
And you can use
So
it.
if the credits, if the value of credits goes down, and you cut the trees down, that's what you pay. You pay,
But assuming we keep the trees for the replant, keep them for 30 years, we've got 650,000 in our balance sheet.
You still got that plus the saleable price of the log in 30 years time. So, and you can use these with 55 and trade those. You can trade those as well, having credits of trade.
So the carbon credits used within COD's fee to offset emissions, and that, like, what's the benefit of us having carbon credits in the business?
We offset some at the landfills, I think. That's correct.
No, there's going to be a report from council in the new year around it, so they are technically retained as a liability, so you don't earn additional credit. So it would only be if you keep the forest forever that there'd be value in spending that money. So if you do choose to spend that money, it does create a liability in the future if you either did not replant that forest too long. So you have to pay.
Yeah, I'm just still trying to get the picture of the benefit of us planting more trees outside the timber value. If we're looking at having the trees there for 50 years, which I think is the life cycle of the carbon credit, we can, there's more benefit to council than just timber.
I think it is a very complicated scheme, and we've tried to simplify it here. But the benefit of replanting is you haven't got the liability of repayment.
Yeah.
You've also, I guess, you still have those credits that can trade, which we can use to offset other parts of the council business if they need to.
Yeah.
And then you're also going to get some income in year 30 or 25 to 30, as we have now with that, with the sale of the log at the stage.
And there's an opportunity for the board to be contributing to district-wide requirements through those carbon credits, is what I'm understanding.
I believe that is what they will work.
I mean, I don't think there's any question about the replanting at all.
No.
It's just understanding what the maximum optimum benefit is.
I think that there is a benefit, but you retain the forestry in the facility.
Yeah.
Then you can use those credits to offset something else, or presumably sell them or trade them.
Yeah.
But you're exactly right, if we use cut the forest down, that's the
But we'd be no worse off than we currently are. If we said we're going to sell those credits now, but we're going to keep the trees forever, that's a financial positive for us. Sure.
I went to the discussion.
If we said between us, we're going to keep those trees forever, and then when they get to maturity, we'll replant them.
It's just every 5 years that we've still got trees. Make sure you haven't said you're going to keep them in there.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that's a discussion for another time, and it's just part of the, I guess, the thinking while we were doing. The other question I have is related to the extent and the scope of the replanting. So when you drive down Grover's Hill Road, you've got the plantation up to the left heading north, but on the right-hand side, we've got that former landfill that is fallow and very tricky, in need of some TLC. Would we extend the planting down into there?
Well, I hadn't, the report isn't on that. I suspect that's capped, and we probably wouldn't want the rest to be encroaching in the. Sorry? I suspect the landfill's capped, the ground,
Correct, so
and the roots would penetrate that cap.
So what sort of landfill was it? Was it a rubbish tip?
yeah, correct, it was all rocks for landfill.
Oh, okay, so it's not just a hard fill. It's not the river.
Yeah, most of them used to be.
So Gordy, Mark mentioned before our meeting just about the recreational benefits for Grover's Hill. So obviously the walking track go back there, and if we're looking at mountain biking as well, potentially as an activity in Grover's Hill, would we be able to design the mountain bike course after we've done the planting?
Yeah, I think both of those things would come up to planting. Like if we need to windrow it, then we get some good, or wherever you want to take them on the, how much steepness, knee or flatness, or walking, biking, they can all happen. Just as in a Indonesia, they do that.
Yeah.
And then the track goes through,
Yeah.
and it's much easier when the trees are little.
Yeah.
And put it through.
Yeah.
So my point was that we're not precluding us from putting a track in a certain position because we've planted the trees.
No.
We could
You might need to move it 1 metre that way because the trees there. That's sort of 2 metres centres or whatever they are.
Okay.
And then they'll get thinned out as, you know, that's wider as, you know, you get 15 or something. Not eventually, so, yeah. There's no problem with that. And you know, produce 1 or 2 trees, I think, to make a lot of sense. Go that way.
Okay, cool.
Right, everyone happy with that? And so the recommendation, the purpose of the report was to consider options for replanting Rovers Hill Forest Plantation. The recommendations are that the Teviot Valley Community Board receives the report and accepts the significance, the level of significance. Can I have someone move that, please?
On that.
And second that? And the agrees that the recreation reserve area at Rovers Hill was replanted 11 hectares of pinus, attenuata, and 1 hectare of mixed natives.
I'll move that.
And second, please. Thank you. Thanks, Gordon. Yeah. Yeah. Okay,
Good afternoon, everybody.
welcome.
Thank you. We've had a request, for a road name approval for a new right of way, on Miller's Flat off Teviot Road, a new development. The developer has requested the name Kaylee Lane. As part of the background information in the report, I've outlined the process required to get, a road name. The developers conformed with the policy and provided 3 options to choose from. Kaylee Lane is the preferred option and this meets the criteria. So it's my recommendation that we approve Kaylee Lane. Any questions?
Anyone got any queries or comments before I advance? Okay, so the purpose of the report once again was to consider a request to name a right of way in Miller's Flat. And the recommendation is that the board receives the report and accepts the level of significance. Can I have one move that? Dylan.
John
Yeah. And agrees that the right of way for Teviot Road be named Kaylee Lane. Someone move that, please. Second up. Aye. All those in favour of item A, I'm supposed to take a vote on item A and a vote on item B. So item A first, all those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, say no. Okay. Item B agrees that the right of way of Teviot Road be named Kaylee Lane. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
All those against say no. Carried.
Very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you. Right. Financial.
No, did you come?
Oh, we've got Kim.
So under legal, we can go to the.
Jump to my report if you want, Mr. Chairman.
Oh.
Well, I'm just trying to make life easier for you. I can even go slow.
We'll move to the mayor's report until so you get to see it then.
Alrighty, thank you. So this is my first report to the new board. So the first order of business is to congratulate you all and to congratulate you, Norman, on your election as chair. As a consequence of the election cycle, the last report of mine to the TBCB is now 2.5 months old, and as you'd expect, a lot's gone on in that time, but I won't go through everything. But I've attended 2 Roxburgh business breakfasts in that time. I did miss the last one a couple of weeks ago, due to it being a full council day. I also was given a look through the former Masonic Lodge building, which looks destined to be the new museum, as well as a tour of the current museum by the drivers of the project. While I wish them all the very best, admire their endeavours and congratulate their success, I just hope my thoughts go into what happens after the museum's been established in terms of having enough volunteers to man it, having funding stream for maintenance, depreciation, etc. The start of a new term is always a busy time with meetings both locally and in Wellington and in other places. I attended the Merrill induction meeting, which is colloquially known as Mayor's School, 2 weeks after the election, and took a moment or two to settle into being one of the old heads in the room, with only 16 of the 66 mayors that were elected, 67 mayors that were elected in 2016 when I was first elected, still there. Normally an election cycle has an attrition rate either of the mayor's own choice or the public's decision of about a third. This election, it was one shy of being half of the mayors there being new to the role. So it's a challenging time for the sector with all the reforms and everything we've got going on. And new blood's great to have, but I feel it puts extra responsibility on the older heads such as mine. That was a large part of the reason that I allowed my nomination to go forward as the Zone 6. So LGNZ has zones, Zone 6 is ours, which is basically south of the Waitaki, including the Waitaki district. So I allowed my name to go forward as Zone 6 representative on LGNZ's National Council. I was successful, I was unopposed in that. And I'm looking forward to our first meeting next week. And I, alongside Sanchia, also attended the inaugural Zone 5 and 6, so essentially the South Island sector meeting and the rural and provincial sector meetings. They were in Nelson and Wellington, respectively, last week. The highlight of both those meetings for me was a trip to the Waimea Dam, so that's out of Richmond. That's scheduled for completion next year. It was really good to get feet on the ground at a place such as this and to contemplate that this is a relatively small project compared to what may be going to happen in this valley at Lake Onslow, but time will tell about that. So that's really it. Happy to answer any questions, or have you moved my report, Mr. Chairman?
Any questions on that report from His Worship? I move that someone, I move that report be accepted, and
Second up.
all those in favour say aye.
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 Those against? And no? Carry.
Yeah.
I'm busy looking for my report and my files are up, so I'll have to go deliver.
Interesting.
I don't know why it's so I can't remember all the meetings that I've listed in that report, but I'll start off by again congratulating everyone that's been elected to the board and just how I guess excited I am to be sitting in the seat and privileged I am to be sitting in this seat as chair for the coming triennium. There's a lot of new ideas and new things being mooted already in terms of things that we would like to address, and I hope that we have a very successful and a well engaged community along it to support us as well. Over the past couple of weeks I've been, as Tim has to business breakfasts, inductions and so forth. Tonight I had one of my first privileges as chair, I guess, and that's being, I was invited to assist with the prize giving at the local high school, which I'm really looking forward to. Apart from that, I've got not a lot more to report. We've only met a couple of weeks ago. And so I request that my report be No, do I move that? Or, yeah, I move that my report be accepted. Yep. Yeah.
I'll second it.
And all those in favour say aye. Against, no? Right. You go. Right. So members' reports. So yours, Sarah.
Yeah, sure. So I've attended several meetings, but I'm just going to update you on a couple of things. I met with, actually on our inauguration, I met with Murray Gordon and a lady Tracy from Dock regarding the river track walkway that we're upgrading from essentially the bridge through towards the West Street. And so she's, it's on Dockland, so she's essentially approved us to upgrade that track, and we're just waiting on her sending us some paperwork. So once we get that, then we'll be applying for it. And we also talked to her about replanting the bank with natives, and so she was also really keen for us to do that, but we're looking at staging it, because in order to do the replanting, we have to come up with a health and safety plan and quite a lot more work around it. And so we sort of want to get the construction work done first, and then at stage 2, look at replanting. And we're quite keen to engage the school. They're really keen to help us, and also the community. So we'd like to get it out to the community when we get our ducks in a row, basically. So we'll do a bit of, try and get community on board for that one. Swimming pool's coming along really well. We're going to have our walls up on the main building before Christmas, and at this stage we're looking at having the pool completed by around the end of March, beginning of April. So I know, it's amazing, like Christmas is going to be here, and then in the new year we're going to have a pool. Like, who would have thought? Seriously, it's very exciting. Yeah, so and so far everything's been trucking along really well. Like our construction company are amazing. We've got really good project managers in Christchurch, so it's been going really well. In terms of council, I just wanted to mention that I'm on the executive committee, and I'm also on a community vision and experience portfolio. I think with you, Dylan, that's correct. Yeah,
And David is.
and David, cool. And then just to tidy something up from the last term, Norman, just the Roxburgh Golf Course at the last council meeting, we actually declined to keep the 2019 policy, but we accepted that the golf course was brought into the 2021 leasing and licensing policy. But we've also agreed to exceptional circumstances so that we could keep the rent at $772 per annum, because while we kept it on the table between meetings, the rent actually increased from 770 to I think 900. So we used so the council were all really supportive of keeping it at 772 per annum. So we've got them into our new leasing and licensing. And I'm also on a Teviot Valley Hubs group, which is for fruit growers, and we're looking at how we can make it entice younger people to the valley and stay here and have some really great things for them to do during the season, and also just help with mental wellbeing for the fruit growers as well. So that's coming along really well, and we've got an event called Explore the Teviot Valley, and it's a challenge, and it's going to run between the 3rd to the 11th of December. And we've got clues of places that they have to go and take photos, and then they're going to upload the photos onto a Facebook page. It's actually really cool. And then we're having a barbecue down at Pinder's Pond on the 11th of December to finish, but we're also inviting the community to come along and to do the challenge as well. And then going forward, I think we're going to run 2 challenges during the season. So we'll have one when some of the fruit growers come on later in the season in about February, but we also think it could be something that could fit with welcoming communities. So when we get new people to the valley, it could be something that people could do, or tourists could do. And we could even have like a plaque at, King George Park or down at Miller's Flat, different places where people could put on a QR code that would take them to a website to tell them what the challenge was. And so they could just go off and they could do the challenge on their own. And it kind of just takes them around a whole lot of really cool points of interest in the Teviot Valley. So it's all a bit cryptic, like they give you clues and they include a whole lot of, you know, the great things that have done in the valley. So that's actually really exciting. And they've got a full calendar of events, and they're tapping into some stuff that's already organised. So things like the Miller's Flat Rodeo, the Roxburgh races, the AMP show. Like they're putting events that are happening anyway into the calendar. They've got the Explore the Teviot. They're going to have an event in February for fruit growers. They've also included the cavalcade. And then in May, they're going to organise a quiz night. And in June, we're going to do a drive-in movie. So virtually on a shorter stay, we're going to have a drive-in movie. And a lot of those events are going to include the community as well. So it's not just the fruit growers. So we can try and, yeah, so it's quite exciting and they're doing a great job.
Who's going to make you drive?
I don't know. I don't think we've decided.
So you'll be working with maybe with that maybe source and all that sort of stuff.
We haven't got those logistics sorted. We've just kind of got it on the calendar for now.
I know
Yeah.
it's on their agenda. Or something.
Right, cool, great. Well, there you go. That's good. So we'll be talking to the movie theatre. Yeah. So that's me.
Is that you? Thank you, Sally. Bill.
I have no idea about members' reports.
Sorry.
The only meeting I've been to was the Teviot Valley this time. I don't know if that's.
That's part of your liaison portfolio.
See, I don't even know what to do as liaison officer. I'm completely in the dark here. So I just give a report of the meeting.
Like if there's any methods of interest.
Yeah, totally. As liaison officer, your purpose is just to be a bridge between that organisation and the board. Yeah, and that's it. There's no other thing you're compelled to do, but if you've been to the meeting, there's points of interest you think the board would like to know about, then you can certainly report on that.
There isn't really anything the board needs to know about at this stage, is there? Because nothing conclusive came out of.
No, it was the AGM.
It was the AGM. But as far as the rest home itself, there's fact that it's another small town rest home that's in trouble. That's really about it. That be a fair assessment?
Well, it's not in trouble.
Well, it's not in trouble, but it's
It's going to
basically.
struggle to survive over time.
It's basically,
Yes.
yes. Yeah, sorry, that was the wrong word.
Yeah. Thank you. Russell?
No, I haven't got a lot to report. I am connected with the community garden where I'm as chairman. It's an interesting sort of social group, and we're lucky to have, I've got connections with corrections where I used to offer them some professional assistance as a psychologist, and so they have now started depositing community workers there, and we've got a young guy, like everybody's 70 or 80, and he's the young guy doing all the work, and he's got 150 hours there. We're going to have him for a year. So, that's a useful connection. But other than that, I'm pretty interested in arts. So I'm involved with the Arts Society Committee and trustee on the Central Otago District Arts Trust. I should be in a meeting right now, but I'm not. Yeah, I do the counselling to the Cancer Society, so that keeps me fairly busy. But I have an agenda for the board, which I would very much like to see. If you can recall driving from Milton north, there's a whole lot of bridges and gardens and trees and planting there.
Left-hand side.
Yeah, so I'd like to see something done from north from alongside the golf course. Trees, not lots of expense, but certainly some trees. I'd like to see a few trees planted on the main street. Although there might be some objection if they take up a park or two. but I don't see that we've got a parking problem here. If you can't park outside where you're going, there's a real problem. So, there's that. And then I would like to see from Gordon St George Park, there's a very untidy edge with potholes and things by the northern group of toilets. I would like to see a gutter right down there, and I presume that's Waka Kotahi's problem, but we could sort of leave us some to get them to do something about that. Yeah, because it's a public road, the council are presumably not involved in maintenance of that, would it be right?
Just look at QP, he's given me the nod, yep.
So if the council got behind our recommendation, something might happen to it. But at the moment, it's pretty bloody untidy. So that's,
There's a lot of heavy traffic parks and
yeah,
a lot of heavy traffic.
well, there's great potholes come out and meet us. I bike past them every day.
Yeah, no, that's good thinking. No,
So I've been to a couple of meetings in Alexandria, getting indoctrinated, which has been fun. Enjoyed that. It's good to have, it's really useful having more knowledge because we're the advocates for the council, and to be able to know a few things is great. So I've been to 2 or 3 meetings there. The ORC one yesterday was part of yesterday's was really good. Went to another Three Waters meeting with the National Party as well. Been to an Onslow meeting, that was interesting, and the Onslow guys were here. Teviot Prospects on a meeting there. I spoke to the John Rowley from the museum. Haven't been to a museum meeting yet, but I am the rep on the museum committee. He said that his report is that they've got all the money and they've almost signed the papers to actually own the building, and they'll be going to the next meeting there. Unfortunately, John Rowley fell over and ended up in a ambulance this morning. Don't know. Well, I just walked in the building as it happened, and so I don't know quite what happened. But it was, I don't know what it was. But he winked and gave me the thumbs up. So he carried him off in an ambulance. And he might have been the wine I gave him last night when he was at home. I've had went to an ORC meeting about future water planning, and they've got a lot of deep thinking going on there about what the future holds for water. They're doing some very serious forward planning about what should happen with water, and there'll be more come out of that. What else have I got? Yeah. Okay. There's been quite a lot of noise in Mollis Flat about the re-gravelling around the area on roads, and to satisfaction with the type of gravel that's been put down. And it's a bit of a safety issue for going up hills. I don't know if anyone here knows anything about it, but the roads, the new gravel being put on is seriously.
Jonathan might be able to help you with that. I mean, we do that now.
You know anything about it?
Yeah, so I haven't actually been personally for a look yet. I was had a phone call on Friday about the inquiries in the community around the gravel going down. So there's been testing and certain pieces done on gravel, but when it's around timing, I think it's weird before it has a chance to be down and it's a slightly slippery surface. But in terms of doing it at this point to dry out for winter and this type of gravel, produce less stuff and everything like that, but because of some of the potential issues we're having with the weather that's coming around that, we've pulled crews off the road they are doing, and we're going to get that weather and see how that performs. But we're doing some of the roads further back in that case, so there's no further gravelling apart from a small piece by the top occurring this summer now, so we see what the performance of that gravel goes like.
Of that one section.
So the one section that's been done is going to now stay done, and we're going to test and see how that actually performs before doing any further stuff, because we did have some feedback around that.
There was a truck got stuck 2 days ago with full of cattle. Up the hill. No one was hurt.
So there are some areas.
No one was hurt, but potentially. It could be a huge liability if we get the wrong stuff down there and a truck goes over.
That road's bad for him since sports.
Okay, the other thing, I've been to a couple of spatial planning meetings, that's looking exciting for the future. And today I've been to business breakfast meetings, and Miller's Flat Pool has just opened at the weekend. So that's all good. $95 for a family for a season. So that's great. I'm on that committee. And today there was at the breakfast at Miller's Flat, there was a long discussion from Simon from the gold mine. He spoke quite a lot about what he's doing and what they're planning on doing, etc., etc. And so that was very interesting. And one of the things he said was that he has pledged to take over effectively the recycling, the garden recycling area. They're going to do it for the community. So the
green waste.
the green waste, the gold mine will take over the operation of that type of thing on their land.
I thought green waste was closed.
Yes, the council green waste is closing, and when it does, they will take over the operation. They will use the green waste, and they will mulch it and do whatever they need to do with it as a private operation, so to speak. So that's a win-win for everyone. So the community was quite pleased with that. There are some concerns from the community about noise and dust, and he's
communicating and engaging.
He's communicating with that, trying to placate the people about the dust. They're going to have dust monitors, and didn't quite get to how they're going to do the noise monitoring yet, but yeah.
Cool.
And they're digging 18 metres down, and they're allowed to move 3,000 cubic metres of gravel. But the way they explain it to me, it's 3,000 cubic metres per section of land, and they've got 3 parcels of land there. Therefore, they're moving 9,000 square metres, but they're sort of amalgamating that all into one area. I don't know if that's what they're allowed to do. That's what they said they're doing, and they've got a fourth. They have a fourth parcel of land that would actually give them 12,000 altogether, which they haven't started to use. That's my report.
Thank you. So, I just want to move that, well, I'll move that those members' report are received and accepted. By the seconder.
I'll pick it up.
Okay. So we'll go back up the agenda to the financial report now. So, Kim, sorry.
So I'm Kim McCulloch, to anybody who's new here. Normally Donna presents the reports, but I tend to do the Teviot day ones. So this is the first quarter for the year, and it's looking pretty good. The only overspend is the pool grant. However, that was budgeted in last year's budget, and the extra was paid out this year. Moving on to the capital expenditure, this is behind due to supply constraints, and the Rockford Town Hall will is delayed just due to timing.
But excuse me, so where does work on roading and parks and reserves go on here?
That will be under contracts.
So you
So
only
it's
get,
10,000 for the whole month on that stuff.
so it's only customer reviews and property, so anything that's delegated to the board, so I'll go over that in the introduction. So voting is actually a council activity, so it doesn't come into the personal financial.
So with that, then for the contracts there on expenditure, 10,000 budgeted 33, that's the timing sort of slip, is it, or there's just nothing needs doing with it? Yeah.
I think in the notes it mentions there's $33,000 payment for variance because it's on an as-needed basis. The work is done on an as-needed basis. So the budget for the worst case scenario and be with the best case scenario.
Yeah, and it tends to be seasonal as well,
Yeah.
like the part where
Sure.
it's always difficult to get kind of a gauge of things when you're going to 3 months that you're reporting to.
Any other questions?
So you're talking to, the last table around the reserves.
Currently, these are unaudited. Just, have auditors on site this week. Yeah. So, and then the rest is just basically a forecast out based on the
I have a question around the endowment plan. Over my time, on the board, I've watched that figure go from around I think it was $180,000 and we're sitting at, $166,000. Firstly, what is that number? Is that, money's accrued from leases?
golf course.
Yeah, so we do have,
But in the endowment plan?
That's your pool, on the, forestry. Yeah.
So item 7351, endowment plan Roxburgh.
so I presume, and I think I need to go and have a look at this. In the induction, I think I'm not quite yet, looking at what's the ins and outs through these accounts at the moment. But I presume that the transfers in will be, income from leases. Transfers out could be some, interest, so there will be, yeah, if you've got forestry costs will be.
I guess the bigger question is, and I've asked it a couple of times now, not formally though, but what is the endowment plan and where is it? And no, but so Louise has answered this for me informally, but if it's a line item in our financials, I think we need to understand what it is a little bit more and why that number is decreasing. If we've got a bank balance here that's money's being spent from, I don't know why. Well,
I could comment through the chair. Lots of land is held as an endowment land. As far as I can ascertain, the only endowment land you have is a freehold land at South Junction, and it is a farm part of which is in the Cruiser district, and there's about 25 hectares in this district. But that doesn't mean some of your reserves aren't endowment land. Endowment just is the expression that describes how the land came about. It was either endowed by a person or by the Crown. So it could be a golf course or whatever. So we actually need to, because the endowment land is grouped on one line in financials, we would have to go through the land parcels and work out which is endowment, which is a, but as I mentioned, I think there's only one freehold property that's endowment land.
yeah. Well, I mean, that would be good information for us to have.
It'll take a piece of work, but we can do that for you.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
I've got quite a few questions about this, but I think we're going to have a session afterwards, so I won't log everyone up right now.
Anyone else got any questions before I move that we accept the financial report? We've been asked to consider the financial performance overview as at 30 September 2022. These statements are, and that the report be received. Can I have someone move that?
We'll move that.
And the second.
I'll second.
All those in favour say aye.
Right.
Against? No. Carried. Thank you. Right, we're back down to item 22.7.8, the governance report.
Report for receiving.
Yeah. So I take it that we've been asked to read the report and the recommendation is that we receive it. Have you got any items of interest or questions about that status report? Rather than go through each and every item. Okay. I'll move then that report be received. I have a second.
Yep, I second it.
All those in favour say aye. Against? Carry.
Can I add something on that item?
Yes.
Just for people's information, the items that are in the governance report are always just for receiving for information. So there's never decisions under the governance report. From time to time, if we email you something, for example, say we receive a communication from somebody that we email to you, we may well also put it in the governance report at the next meeting, just so it's tabled publicly and it's transparent in that way, so we put them all under the governance.
So are you saying that we should go through each item?
No, what I'm saying is that at the top of the report, it says, discussion what's in it. So
Yeah.
the time status reports, which just give you information on bits of work that are going on and what the update is. And there's the 4 program. But if we had something else that came through and say emailed it to you during the month,
Yeah.
we'd also put it here just so it's on the public record as well.
Yeah, so I'll lead through. Yeah. Contents of it, basically.
Everything in there is just for information.
Yeah. All right, I think that brings our business to a close if I'm not. The date of the next meeting, I believe, is the 2nd of November.
February.
2nd of February, 2023. And with that, I'll close the meeting.
No,
No?
no, you've got to go. Next
Why?
public on.
Oh, I thought that was after the meeting was closed. Okay, so we've got to pass a resolution to exclude the public from the next part of the meeting. Do I have someone move
I'll
that?
move that.
And a seconder?
I'll
Jill?
second.
Jill.
My apologies.
Yes, it's a skin, isn't it?
Yeah.